Welcome to People, Places, and Parables, highlighting people and the positive effect they have in our community.
Hi, this is Chris. You probably know me from Welcome to Housing Home Goods Bank up in Old Town. I happen to live in Bangor, and recently I was interviewed by Max Scholar with Sacred Legions. It's a podcast that's based on a Kurt Vonnegut quote, something to the effect of even during times of stress and so forth, you can find saints anywhere. They're decent people doing decent things during indecent times. I am so pleased to introduce Kyle Tardy. Kyle is a close friend and a across the street neighbor. And I can't remember how long ago it was, but he started a neighborhood food pet pantry or a pet pantry in the neighborhood. And after COVID started, my wife and I helped a couple of sisters that weren't quite old enough to be helped through the Furry Friends Food Bank, and then volunteers were unable to deliver because of COVID. But we helped the two sisters for quite some time. What got you started with this, Kyle?
I have retired recently, and one of the things, I just now have time to do two of my passions, and that is pets, and I'm creating unique and different kinds of entertainment and trying to uh, intertwine the two together. And
That's
so that's
excellent.
yeah, the pet pantry started last July, actually, so 11 months, and Bangor has 12 neighborhoods, 13 total. But I would like in the coming years to expand one to each neighborhood coming up.
That would be wonderful. I know that there are some neighborhood pages on Facebook. What are some of the other ways that you're reaching out in the community?
So this is we're kind of very little known right now because I've since decided to actually expand this, and so I my next target area will be the Cape Heart area. And I will go to the Cape Heart Facebook page and ask to become a member and then seek out a host. And a host is somebody who would be willing to host the pantry in their house or garage um, for, until they can't and have to turn it over. So it's a very easy process, and it doesn't require a whole lot of time. It's a great volunteer opportunity for a scout, a high school student, people who are retired like me who love pets and just want to help their immediate neighbors.
That's wonderful. And I was going to say, after we're done with the interview, there's a gentleman by the name of Tom Grogan. He lives in our neighborhood, the Tree Streets area.
Yeah.
Tom used to work for the Bangor Housing Authority. And years ago in Cape Heart, they ended up doing a community event, and I think they're still doing it because there are a lot of latchkey kids. There's a lot of single parents and so forth. And what they had for an experience, they had a community day where they would bring out, touch a fire truck and meet
Yeah.
the police and so forth. And that actually grew into a free lunch program. So there are some really good contacts out there. As a matter of fact, one of the other neighborhoods is over by the Together place, and they did I think it's gonna be this year, I think will be the 3rd year they do a community day, and I think there are
Yeah.
a lot of contacts that I can get you in touch with that would help with that.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
that's the second area I wanna open this year. So, in this year, it'll be Cape Heart and the downtown area, the 1st through 7th Streets area. Those I think are the most, neediest and where the pantry can be most helpful. We're not a nonprofit or we're not a for-profit. In fact, we have so little money, we're a nonprofit cause. Uh and any money I have goes into a small savings account to fill, the pantry with food,
Mhm.
or, what I'm working on now, is a a fund of sorts, although very small, a reimbursement fund for folks who may need it for things having to do with their pets. Um, the fund could reimburse them to take a pet CPR and first aid class
Wow.
online. The fund may offer $50 toward flea and tick prevention,
Hmm.
or the fund may pay $50 in the person's name to a vet. So they are small amounts, but I think each pantry, as they establish themselves, will have this as a secondary fund through donations, hopefully.
That's wonderful because I know there's a lot of efforts out there, and I know the thing that always amazed me with Welcome to Housing when we used to do toilet paper drives and drives for personal care items downtown at Shaw's is how many people that we ran into that were homeless or recently, got into the shelter, but how
Mhm.
many of them had pets?
Yes,
Because it's
that's a
one of
big
those
one.
things, if you've ever read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, it talks about trauma. And one of the things that helps people a lot are animals, whether it's a dog or a cat. Um, Not too long ago, I remember going down at Shaw's and we had a parking event. I think it was during the folk festival, American Folk Festival, a number of years back. And this one gentleman was always riding around town on a bicycle with a full-size dog on his back, not a little teacup chihuahua, but a
Right.
full-size dog. And pets are such an integral part. We've had
Yeah,
rabbits in the past and
yeah,
try to explain to somebody at Easter time, rabbits are sentient beings. They're great. They're not a novelty to love and care for during Easter and then, forget
right,
about.
right. Any
We've
pet,
we've
yeah.
rescued two rabbits ourselves, and if you ever have an animal like a rabbit or a guinea pig or something like that that needs a home, we have taken animals to Blue Seal, and Blue Seal will find homes for them. So that's
That's
wonderful.
good to know, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I was at 2 different houses. One, this is I just retired from real estate last year
Yeah,
and went to one house, and there was a lady who had had a lot of loss, lost her husband, I believe lost one of her sons, and down in the basement was this beautiful lion-headed rabbit, and it was just a mess,
oh,
and I got written permission from her. The house was listed with another agent that I worked with, and we ended up taking it over to Blue Seal. They got a home for it right away. And then another gentleman I worked with called me up. He was doing broker price opinions like I do, and he was doing an interior. And it was dead of winter, and there was a rabbit cage with a great big, beautiful white spotted rabbit. And we had neighbors coming over saying, well, the people have been moved out of the house, but they still come and feed the rabbit. And I looked at him, I said, the poor thing's going to freeze to death. We took it in. I've never had a problem picking up rabbits, and we took it to Blue Seal and the same thing.
yeah.
You had mentioned in the start, or I know that when you started out, you had almost like one of those book little mini libraries out front. So I guess you ran into some challenges with that. So how does the process work now if somebody is, say, in the tree streets for a start, and they're struggling? What's the best thing that they can do?
Yeah, well, when I started this as well, and I put the cabinet out there, I was fully aware that, somebody would maybe take too much, or somebody from the neighborhood would come, the word would spread outside, and there is a need outside, definitely. Um, so what happened was, is somebody was taking too much. I had to put a lock on it. They ended up breaking the lock. They weren't even from the neighborhood. They were from Milford.
Mhm.
Um, but in any case, I operate it in the garage now, and that's a much easier thing to do because you can track your food much better, your inventory, so to speak. You can keep things temperate, Um, and so folks can just text me and say, do you have this or this? And I may or may not. And if I don't, I'll try to find it for them.
And
Um,
and I'll put it in the notes, but did you wanna rattle off the best number to text you at?
Sure. Well, when I say text, it is, on my, instant message on Facebook. It's not
Okay.
I don't give my phone number, but I
Mhm.
can.
Yep.
So it's kept going. The communication goes through the neighborhood Facebook page, the Tree Streets page only, and so folks on there will instant message me. And
Excellent.
so yeah, if they're in the neighborhood and they wanna get a hold of me, tell them just to go to the Facebook page, the Tree Streets page, and look me up, and they'll see my post. Um, I had a school social worker actually text or message me the other day. Um, she said she had a family of 4 who was experiencing homelessness, and they had a dog and a cat, and she wanted to know if I could, supply them some food because they were almost out, and I said, "Of course, this is what the pantry is for." And so, I packed up a big bag and she came and picked it up, and so that's what it's for,
That's excellent.
because
And
when times are tough, the pets always are the first to feel it, then the
exactly.
kids, then the parent, so
And I've known people. I've a friend that we helped with Welcome to Housing who essentially puts her pets before herself.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's not all that uncommon. Now, my question too is when we first started, what we have is a furniture bank technically,
yeah.
and there's a myriad of similar programs out across the country. There's even a network where you can go and look at websites of other ones. When you've been online, have you been able to check out some of the other similar programs out there and communicate with them and find out some of the successes and some of the hacks that might help?
So I don't think there is anything like this out there.
Wow.
It's similar to a little free library.
Mhm.
It's the same concept. Take, give back when you can, except bigger. Um, so I am really focused in on what is working for the intended audience, which is my neighborhood.
Yep.
And so that I think is working right now, and how I'll move forward. Um,
Excellent.
and so it's kind of my own project and my own guiding and my own financing, but
Gotcha.
so
Well, that's
for
that's very
fundraising.
familiar to what we went through with Welcome to Housing, and we're gonna be 15 in October. One
Wow.
of the things that I would suggest is if you ever need help, recruiting people or getting the word out, we would love to help you. The whole idea of the People, Places, and Parables podcast,
Yeah.
I don't know how many people out there that are watching remember, Joni Averill. Joni Averill, very nice lady, I believe she's still in the area. She used to do a weekly column, and she would feature anywhere between 2 and 4 or 5 different nonprofits in the paper. And unfortunately, when she retired, probably cost cutting, they didn't replace her.
Right.
I look at all the vitriol that's out there and all the negative stuff, yet all the good stuff, like you're doing, like my volunteers are doing, outweighs it. Years ago, there was a interview with Barbara Walters, and I'll never forget it. I believe he was a concert pianist, and his name was Vladimir Horowitz. And at one point, Barbara Walters asked him if there's something that he'd like to share. And he said, for some reason, Americans, your country, Americans thrive on bad news. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
It's true.
Um, I'm a news junkie. I used to be a news reporter, used to be a news anchor, and I've gotten to the point now where I take the words of Weird Al Yankovic and the song "Dare to Be Stupid." He says,
I
"You
love
can be a
Weird Al.
coffee achiever. You can sit around the house and watch Leave It to Beaver. The future's up to you. So what you gonna do?" One of my memes for people, places, and parables, there's Beaver in the background on the TV because sometimes you just need to chill out and realize that the world isn't coming to an end. It's like the Billy Joel song, "We Didn't Start the Fire." There's always
Right.
been negative stuff, but we
Right.
need to overcome it and really promote the positive.
Right.
When we first started, you mentioned 2 different projects. You mentioned, I believe you said entertainment as well?
Mhm. So, for fundraising and exposure, and I did a sample of this last Halloween, raising money for the Humane Society. I did,
Wonderful.
sh- yes, I did shows with cast of 5 really well performing students. One of a vampire show downtown, and then on Halloween night on Maple Street, it was a Freddy Krueger and a friends kind of
Oh my
show.
goodness.
Um, but it was really, really well received, and I am kind of known for doing unusual things for fundraising events,
Mhm.
and so our first, event, which is more exposure than fundraising, but it is fundraising, will be for the Pride Parade this year. Uh,
Excellent.
yes, and it'll feature, I don't know, I'm sure you've heard of Eartha Kitt.
My
Uh,
goodness, Catwoman.
yes, and
Her voice gave
so
her I gotta be honest, my wife's gonna slap me, but her voice always gave me chills.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Chris Olson, you're gonna want to be downtown for this Pride Parade and see this performance. They're being billed as Eartha Quake and the Catastrophics.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, featuring the music of Eartha Kitt. It's old Batman kind of theme.
Mhm.
So I really think you'll dig it. And I've got 5 great young performers who are just ready to go. So
That's fantastic, and I
that'll
think
be the first exposure thing. I'll have my banners down there on the truck, and
beautiful,
things like that.
beautiful, and I think you discovered the thing that I discovered with Welcome to Housing, is that we have gotten some great community support across the whole demographic. But when you can get University of Maine students, Husson students, now it's
Mhm.
Beale University, students involved, Key
Yeah,
Club kids are incredible. I
yeah,
was in the Kiwanis for years, and I was always blown away by how many high school students were in Key Club, whether it would be John Bapst, Herman had a really big club, Brewer had a really good club, because I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I moved to Maine in '74 full time, and if you were a kid that participated and took part in something that was positive in the
mm,
community, you might as well be like that Far Side, the 2 Far Side deer. One's got a bullseye in his chest, and the other one looks at
right.
him and goes, "Bummer of a birthmark out." It was like a license
Yeah,
to
yeah,
pick on you because you're doing
yeah,
something good.
yeah.
Um,
It was weird.
it was weird, but the nice thing is, and I think Hamden, not Camden, but Hamden with an H, I believe was the first school that required students to do community service as part of
Good.
their requirements for graduation. And I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but what's fun is the fact when you see somebody that has to do community service and they come in, it's like, "I'm here to do some community service." You get them involved, they have fun, and all of a sudden the light bulb pops on and like, wow, what I'm doing actually makes a difference. That's fabulous. So that's excellent that they're getting involved in that. Are there any things that are upcoming for either of the programs? You mentioned the Pride Parade and so forth.
So
Would it,
that's hey, Mike, can you chat outside?
how's Bo doing?
Bo is doing okay. He's better. He didn't he there was a behavior change after we lost Ash, of course, with
And
all of
that's
us.
heartbreaking. Yeah,
Yeah. But he's doing well. So what we have coming up is once we find a host for the pantry, we will
hmm,
go to that street area and do like a little block party.
excellent.
Well, yeah, one of the things is that because I'm not a nonprofit organization and people don't really know who I am, I don't
Hmm.
get any support from folks like, small pet stores. I've checked a couple of those. But I will tell you, one woman believed in me, and that's Amber down at Fancy Fur Clips. And she has agreed to sponsor us. We take the dogs there. Um, but what she will do is when we go and do these little block parties, she will provide basic pet care services like maybe ear cleanings, nail trimmings, brushings, and things like that. Um, Also, we'll have an opportunity to raise money for folks to maybe get drawings on baskets or something like that.
Excellent, and look to your across the street neighbor to help you because I would be happy to do that. My
Thank you.
background in nonprofit, and one of the
Yeah,
other things
definitely.
I was gonna say, one of the things you might consider doing is, have you reached out to have written a letter or sent an email to the different veterinarians in the area?
I did talk to I'm considering that as well. That's a tough one. Because I'm only asking for 3 hours every quarter for
Mhm.
volunteer time.
That's
Um,
that's
and
very
vet tech
flexible and doable.
well, yeah, but a vet tech can't do that. They can't make those kinds of judgments. VZ Vet isn't in Bangor,
Mhm.
so this is a Bangor initiative. I just feel weird, although we do go there.
But
Um,
here's the idea that I had, Kyle, rather than going after the veterinary techs, is see if you can get an opportunity to ask them to help promote it. We can help you design like a leaflet or something for in the waiting room of different vets offices, something to the effect of,
sure,
you
yeah,
love your pets. Obviously you're here taking care of your pets here at the veterinarians. Would you consider reaching out or talking with Cal Tardy? He is one of the people that started a pet food pantry in a neighborhood. He's looking to other neighborhoods because I know for a fact that a lot of people in Bangor do go to the VZ vet. We had our
yeah.
second cat I
Oh,
ever
good.
had was Kiwi. We got from
Yeah,
there because originally we had heard that they had a litter there and they were going to put some down, which of course wasn't true. It was just this horrible rumor.
yeah.
And we ended up adopting her through the Humane Society. She lived to be, oh my gosh, quite up there in years. She was,
Yeah.
I wanna say over 20, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, huh,
So, yeah. But anytime you need help with something like that, reach out because I've
yeah.
discovered through social media, which I originally thought was a real chore, turns out is not. When you get into the flow, we're on TikTok now, and one of the things that I try to say to everybody I'm gonna be interviewing with this new People, Places, and Parables is that if you need help designing something, sending it out, you probably have already figured this. If you make a nice graphic, a meme or whatever, for whatever reason, those get a lot of hits on most social media. On TikTok, which still baffles me, um, we have so many followers now, and I will do a video that's longer than 30 seconds, and it gets a lot of hits, and I have no idea why, but, we would love I'm retired now too, and we would love to help out. My wife and I have done, animal rescues. The first one we did was a pair of Manx cats that were coming from, I believe, Tennessee, as a
Mm,
mother and a kitten, and we took them from Bangor all the way up to Calais, where we met the lady who loved Manx cats. They call them rumpies. That was her
yeah.
first one. But from Tennessee to where we took the two cats was done by 15 different parties. One
Wow.
day, my wife asked me. She said, "Would you be willing to do a dog?" And I said, "Sure." I didn't stop to think, big dog, little dog. And his name was Bandit, and he was from Yonkers, New York, and he was in the kill shelter.
Wow.
And his head was about the size of Seattle. I could not locate even through, the local kennels, I could not
Oh,
find any, dog carriers. And for the first 15 or 20 minutes on the interstate, we couldn't understand why he was so excited. This great big headed dog, this pit bull, all he wanted was to sit in Robin's lap because
yeah,
he had been in that shelter so long
yeah,
that he hadn't had any cuddles. And oh my God, it was so much fun. And for
yeah,
anybody out there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this podcast. It goes to a number of different platforms, and we'll also promote it on Facebook. But anything we can do to funnel people your way to get in touch with you would be great.
yeah. I can get do you want an email address
I would
or
love you. What you can do is give that to me. Actually, you can rattle it off here, but I'll put it in the
sure, yeah.
text.
It's kjtxyz@gmail.com.
Excellent. The nice thing about these podcasts as well that I'm learning, I have a couple of mentors. I have Pat LaMarche. People might remember her
Yeah,
from being the vice president
yeah,
candidate for the Green Party years ago. I met her years ago. I kept hearing about Pat LaMarche and what a great volunteer she was. And I always envisioned somebody much more elder than myself. And when I met her, I was really surprised. And the other one is Max Goller with Sacred Legions. And recently, I went to a Fusion Bangor. Fusion Bangor is like the JC's junior chamber from years ago, and I was really surprised because when I told people I'm gonna be starting a podcast, they popped up like meerkats, like, "Oh, really?" I would figure that a younger crowd like that would be
yeah.
like, "Oh, yeah,
That's so
another
last week.
podcast."
Uh,
but apparently it's not, and the
Oh,
fact that we're all local,
good. Yeah.
um, and I'm excited. You are the first person we've had in an interview.
Well,
Are there
good.
any, closing thoughts that you have?
No, take care of your pets. Don't abandon them. And if you can't feed them, give me a call, send an email. I'll
Excellent.
do what I can.
There we go. This podcast is my first one as the viewers are out there, and I'm going to close it out, but I'm going to leave a little bit of space for an intro and an outro. I'm really excited because it's not the blind leading the blind. I have Max helping me out post production, and I also am
Nice.
timing this, but I think it's a great way. And if people out there have an interest in being on People, Places, and Podcasts, people, places, and parables.
Terrible.
Get it right, Chris. They can go onto Facebook, find us on Facebook, and we have a number of people lined up. We have um, Sarah Bowden from the Community Closet 207 down in Ellsworth. We're going to be talking with Scott Pardy, Pardy. Scott Pardy has, I believe it's about 20 sober living homes. I've also been in touch with Boyd Cronholm, the gentleman that's the head of the Bangor Area Homeless Shelter. I hope to have Doug Dunbar, who founded Penobscot County Cares. So a lot of
Oh,
great people doing great things
awesome.
out there. Much love to you and Mike
Well, you too. Thank
and
you.
your dog. And my heart goes out to you. Losing a pet is never easy.
Mm,
We've had 6 cats in the past. We have 6 Maine Coon cats now,
yeah,
and, with the exception of one that we had to have put down because of lymphoma, we always let them see the pet after they had passed because, it's one of the reasons I can't imagine and fostering pets is great, but I can't imagine it because
yeah,
of the simple fact our pets would be really attached, and all of a sudden that dog or cat, parakeet, whatever,
yeah,
be like,
yeah.
"Where did they go? What did they do?"
No,
And
Bubba was with us when we were all right there when we had to put Dash down. So
wow, that's
yeah,
cool.
it was sad, but it was good to all be there.
Yeah.
And
And
thank you.
you have to have faith that there's something beyond here. My father went
Oh
through
yes,
2 out-of-body experiences when he had a heart attack when I was a kid, and,
yeah,
just keep the faith.
yeah.
Well, thank you, my friend, and,
Thanks,
we're gonna
Chris.
wrap it up for right now, but stay tuned for future podcasts. I'm gonna, do a number of these and then release them slowly, and I will let you know the release date. I can't thank you enough.
Perfect.
This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. It was. Thank you.
God bless. Take care,
All right.
Kyle.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.